UFC 320. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on to make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live for the entire card Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. Ladies going after it. Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker. Feels like a mismatch. I'm picking Veronica Hardy. We haven't seen Brogan Walker in nearly 2.5 years. It was a loss to Lucindo early in Lucindo's UFC career. Now she's done pretty well and is a top-ranked strawweight contender. Dominated there, regardless of a decent opponent. Fight before, finished by Juliana Miller in the Ultimate Fighter finale. I thought that Brogan Walker had called it a career and was gone for. Welcome back. She takes on Veronica Hardy here. I don't see her winning. I feel like Hardy's going to be better everywhere. Younger girl by 6 years. Technically, I'd say she has advantages with her kickboxing. She's sharper and faster. Brogan Walker's got decent stance switch striking. She's got a little bit of offensive attack with kicks and punches. But it's nothing that really blows me away. Like, she's 1-4 in her last 5. If you put the Ultimate Fighter exhibitions, all right, she's got wins there. But in her professional ranks, I mean, 7-4 as a pro. I really did think it was over. Decides, hey, I'm going to come back, taking on Veronica Hardy. Hardy's done pretty well since her MMA comeback after taking some time away from the sport. Beat Juliana Miller, who beat Brogan Walker. Not to use MMA math, but, you know, something worth mentioning. Jamie Lynn Horth W, JJ Aldrich W, and then last time Eduardo Mora ends up beating her. But Mora's an absolute savage on the ground, and still Hardy put up a decent enough fight. I think Veronica Hardy should be able to beat Brogan Walker wherever the fight takes place. I see her as the better and more mobile striker. I see her as probably the better grappler between the two. And simply put, just the better fighter. She's in her prime. She's actually fighting consistently, 10 months off versus, 2 years and 5 months. And 2 years and 5 months and being 36 and 0-2 in the UFC, I feel like Veronica Hardy probably cruises her way to a unanimous decision. I see her outpointing Brogan Walker. Would be cool if she got a finish, maybe stops her with some ground and pound or submits her, but I lean towards the ladies going into the later stages and Veronica Hardy handling it by unanimous decision. Odds for the fight, -650, very wide for Veronica Hardy. Might as well be Veronica Nurmagomedov over here with how wide these damn odds are. Walker +475. I mean, yeah, I hate how wide the odds are, but like the truth is, Brogan Walker really shouldn't win this fight. Over 2.5, -374. I'm not saying chase the value of the +300 finish, but there is a possibility that Hardy could go out and stop a girl that hasn't fought in years. Hardy's not a great finisher. 3 finishes out of her 9 pro wins. So, normally, as of late especially, it's been decisions, but JJ Aldrich is good. Jamie Lynn Horth is big, right? She's okay. Juliana Miller beat Brogan Walker. I would say decent grappling at the least on the side of Juliana Miller. Tricky stylist. I think Veronica Hardy handles this one. Should be pretty straightforward. I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer. It should be a no-brainer prediction, but sometimes those are the ones that get you. If Brogan Walker wins, I'll be pretty shocked. I'm going Veronica Hardy. Clean, unanimous decision. Looks good on the feet. Picks her apart. Probably out-grapples her a bit as well. Wins the fight in all areas and takes home an easy win. Not that any UFC win is easy, but an easy win. Let's keep moving up. Next fight on the card. We got Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderford. I'm picking Austin Vanderford, though I can see the temptation to go for Brahimaj, who's coming off of a big upset win against Billy Ray Goff. Fight before that, beat Mickey Gall. The last 2 wins for Brahimaj, first-round finishes, and he showed new wrinkles in his game. Successful. I mean, offensive grappling, he was known for to a degree, but like making it look that easy and subbing Billy Ray Goff quickly in the first round, I thought that was pretty badass. And then dropping Mickey Gall and violently knocking him out. There's 2 real high-quality performances from Brahimaj, but you need to take a step back and look at the fights through an honest lens. Billy Ray Goff, completely unproven at a high level, 0-1 heading into the fight in the UFC, now 0-2. Lost to Trey Waters. Trey Waters just got knocked out. And then you look at Mickey Gall, completely checked out of his fighting career. 7-7 as a pro after the fight. Had lost numerous matchups. Like, yes, Ramiz showed pop in that fight and caught him with the big shots over the top, but Gall was getting cracked in a lot of matchups. So I just, have to look at it honestly and say, yes, Brahimaj has wins, but against bottom feeders, say what you want about Austin Vanderford. He's only got one UFC fight. He's 1-0 in the UFC, but he beat up Ankalaev Veretennikov, absolutely mauled him on the ground, showed level difference in the wrestling. And you look, this dude was really the prospect to watch in Bellator. He beat Fabian Edwards, right? Fabian Edwards is a top contender still in the PFL middleweight division. Losses to Gegard Mousasi, an MMA legend, and Aaron Jeffrey, who's pretty good, still over in PFL. And then got an easy W, jab knockout against Victor Ramiro nearly a year ago, and then beating up Ankalaev Veretennikov in the debut 7 months ago. I think Austin Vanderford's a tricky matchup here for Ramiz Brahimaj because what Brahimaj is good at, so is Vanderford. Both guys can wrestle. I think Vanderford's the better wrestler. I would say Vanderford is the technically better striker, not like insane technique, like he's looking like Mr. Pro kickboxer. But I think that Vanderford lands a hard jab. I think Vanderford can then tie up with Brahimaj and drag him to the ground, can win some of the grappling exchanges. Now, to be fair, Brahimaj working with, Bilal at times, and there's definitely a sense of improvement around Brahimaj. But, a year and 4 months ago, Temba Garimbo dominated him and was taking him down left and right. You could argue, oh man, maybe it was just an off day. I just think Brahimaj has had some good performances, but I still question the level. I get it. Austin Vanderford is not elite caliber necessarily in the welterweight division, or even near it. I guess it's not like Garimbo is either, or an old Court McGee. But Vanderford was a title challenger over in Bellator. He was undefeated at one point. I mean, shit, he rode up the ranks fast at 11-0, and then took 2 L's and is now 13-2, getting the call to the UFC. I've always liked Austin Vanderford. I think stylistically it's a fun matchup. I could see Vanderford hitting the key takedowns. Striking, I feel like Vanderford lands straights here. Got a good jab, whereas Brahimaj is more over the top shots, power hooks. And the thing about Brahimaj, he does get hit a good amount. You can catch him down the center line, and I can see Vanderford catching him as well. I'm going to go towards the side of Austin Vanderford to win. I feel like possibility of a unanimous decision, but there's a chance that Vanderford puts it on him and maybe even stops a Brahimaj, an over-aggressive Brahimaj. But normally the chin of Brahimaj holds up, and the grappling defense, I'd say, is sound, even if he ends up on his back. I'm going to go towards Vanderford by a judge's decision. Now, I will say he's 35, and, being a 35-year-old prospect, essentially, not a great look, not a great bet necessarily when you think about odds at -250 for a guy in his second UFC stop. But Brahimaj just seems beatable to me, and I'm not going to let wins over bottom-tier guys who I think Vanderford would fuck up as well convince me otherwise. So, Austin Vanderford to beat Ramiz Brahimaj is what I think is going to end up happening. And he's a really big favorite. 3-1 favorite in the spot here. At open, he was -250. Brahimaj, a big underdog at +250. Brahimaj is used to this, though. I mean, if you look at his last fight against Billy Ray Goff, he was a +310 underdog. Against Mickey Gall, he was a +120 underdog. Isn't that crazy? Guy's a +120 dog against Mickey Gall. It's insane looking back at it now and seeing, the level of Mickey Gall and the reality of that fight. But I think Austin Vanderford should win. I'm going to go towards the favorite. I think he out-wrestles him, probably takes home a decision. I can see competitive moments, but I think Vanderford does more over the full 3. Over a round and a half is -230. Over 2.5 is -160. I favor Vanderford's wrestling over Brahimaj's grappling game, and I think Vanderford on the feet can land straight shots. I'd give Brahimaj maybe the lean in power, but I'm not sure, because I do think Vanderford has some pop in his hands, and I definitely know he's in shape to go hard 3. I get it, he had some bad losses, and you can question the durability, but his L's are 3 years ago. And I think he's a new fighter now. This is also welterweight, Austin Vanderford. As long as he doesn't have any crazy woes with the scale, comes in ready to rock and roll, I think that Ramiz Brahimaj gets outworked over 3 rounds. So Austin Vanderford for a unanimous decision win. Watch for him landing some stiff jabs. Watch for him mixing up takedowns, and then watch for some control from top, a little ground and pound, and then winning some, grappling scrambles too, and some clinch battles. I'm going to go towards the Vanderford side in that one. Next fight on the card, we got Punahele Soriano versus Nikolai Veretennikov. I think Punahele Soriano is going to go out and win this fight. Nikolai Veretennikov coming off a controversial win against Prado last time. Most media outlets had Prado winning. You could argue, oh, it could have went either way, but I thought Prado probably did enough, and Veretennikov got gifted a decision there. If not for that gift, he wouldn't even be in the UFC. And now they match him up against a Punahele Soriano, who's looking to be a bit of an animal at 170 pounds. Soriano was always known as a power hitter at 185, but was undersized for the weight class and, got done dirty in a couple of matchups, man. Got beat up bad by Kopylov and Stoltzfus. Unfortunate results. And against, guys in Stoltzfus and Kopylov who have now risen since those wins. And you look at Soriano's last couple, dominance against Miguel Baeza, and then he made it look easy with a quick knockout over Uros Medic, who's a slick kickboxer. Nikolai Veretennikov's striking is okay. He does have, a decent long-range jab. He's got good length to him. Okay punches in range, a little bit slappy on some of his shots. And also, I'd say he's pretty heavy-footed, a little bit too flat on his feet for my liking. He's going to be at a speed disadvantage in striking. Soriano also from the southpaw stance with the power advantage, with the explosiveness edge. And I think simply put, just a striking advantage. But then the ultimate difference maker is I think that we see Soriano with an ability to take Veretennikov down. I really don't think Veretennikov's grappling is that good. His wrestling defense is not great. Prado was out wrestling him. He got absolutely mauled by Vanderford. I think Punahele Soriano can maul him on the ground too and can catch him with big shots on the feet. Now, Veretennikov seems to have a pretty good chin. So does Soriano flatline him in 30 seconds like he did against Medic? Probably not. But I do think that of his recent welterweight matchups, I mean, there's an argument that Veretennikov is the least skilled of the bunch, but maybe the toughest of the bunch. If Soriano fights smart, mixing in takedowns, landing big shots in range, getting on top, I mean, there's a possibility he melts a Veretennikov with ground and pound, similar to how Vanderford beat him up because Soriano's heavy on top. But even if not that, I think he can outwork him over 3 rounds in a back and forth fight, landing bigger and better shots, landing key takedowns, and just showing that he's the better fighter. Like Soriano should really go out and handle a Nikolai Veretennikov. I think there's a skill set disparity between the two of them that's pretty vast. And we have Soriano with knockout power and explosiveness and in the best shape of his life. Like 170 seems to have been the master decision for Soriano to keep his career going. Odds for the fight, Soriano sitting at minus 235 in the favorite status, deserved tag. At open, he was minus 300. I think minus 235, minus 300, fair for him. Veretennikov plus 200. He just hasn't shown much skill. He's shown a lot of dog, but skill-wise doesn't blow me away. Over 1.5 at minus 171. I lean towards yes, because if you really think about Veretennikov's abilities, like you look at him at a higher level, went distance on Contender Series with Michael Morales, which, say what you want, it was a young Michael Morales. There's still an impressive element to that. Close fight with Danny Barlow. And then the Austin Vanderford fight, he got mauled on the ground, but he still went over a round and a half. He was late into the second round. And Vanderford is good at pinning people and good at ground and pound. And then, he hadn't taken bad L's since 2014. Veretennikov is one of those gritty journeymen. He can push a 3-round pace. He can put up a tough fight, but he loses skill for skill. As he should have lost to Prado, I think Soriano handles here. I don't think he's getting robbed on a decision. And I'd say Soriano is a fair amount better than Prado too, I believe. So Punahele Soriano to get it done. I think unanimous decision because of Veretennikov's durability, but with Soriano's power that he's shown, especially in his most recent fight, that quick KO of Medic, that shit jumps off the page and makes me think maybe he could put Veretennikov down and out. I wouldn't be shocked if he stopped him. So Soriano, KO or decision in this matchup here. And we'll see what the props look like later on in the week. But definitely a chance of an over 1.5, though. I could see a calculated Soriano. Next fight, Patchy Mix versus Jakub Wikłacz. I think that Patchy Mix is going to beat Jakub in this matchup. I feel like this is the sophomore UFC appearance that they kind of throw you to give you a chance to keep the UFC career going. Same thing happened, right, with Patricio Pitbull. Debut, they give him a tough matchup in a top contender, Yair, and then he takes on Dan Ige and he handles. Now, this here is a debuting guy in Wikłacz versus a Patchy mix who's fought at a high level for years. And I guess you can give respect to KSW and a KSW champion in Jakub Wikłacz, but he's a grappler, man. The bread and butter of his game is getting submissions and, beating people on the ground. He has good dexterity. He's got pretty good chokes, and he has a sound ground game, but I think Patchy Mix is definitely the better wrestler of the two. And when I look at the stand-up, I know some people are going to shit on Patchy's stand-up after Mario Batista boxed his face off, but I feel like Patchy's the better striker. Patchy's got better boxing. He's a southpaw. He's got a good jab. Like, we can look at Patchy's most recent fight and just look at negatives, or you can look back a couple fights and see when he was on fire. Ground skills are hyper elite. Grappling is really on point. Control on the ground is sick. His length is good too. He's got long legs and he's got good back takes, good body triangles, good rear naked chokes. I really think Patchy Mix should be able to beat Jakub Wikłacz in this one. I just botched his name, Wilcox. Now, I guess, we'll call him Wilcox. It is what it is. Patchy Mix, I'm leaning towards a finish. I think he could choke out Jakub in this fight. And if they strike, I really see Patchy landing a lot of straight punches. The thing about Wikłacz is I watch his game and I'm thinking to myself, this is one of those guys that has good kicks. Like a lot of high caliber grapplers, they have good kicks, but they have shit hands. Like his boxing is really mediocre. His teeps up the center are nice, but he overthrows them. He throws a lot of teeps right up the center. And unless he catches Patchy in some weird scramble and locks up a gilly or maybe, a flukish back take into a choke, I just don't think that's likely though. I think Patchy can pin him from top position and dominate there. I think if they're striking, Patchy could rock Wikłacz on the feet. I think if there's a knockout, it's Patchy chinning Wikłacz. I got Patchy. I think he wins inside of the distance too. I definitely feel like this is one of those matchups where he's got to look to put a statement. I mean, he had a stinker of a debut, but when you think about it now, Mario Batista's been on fire for years, and that's a tough fight to just enter the UFC in under the bright lights. And then especially with Patchy turning into a kickboxer there, that was kind of crazy. But if he was to just kickbox in this fight, I think he'd win the kickboxing match, which I like. That's another reason I like Patchy. If he decides to just strike, he'll win. But he could also get Jakub Wikłacz to the ground and dominate him there. I think he could choke him out. I think Patchy Mix inside the distance makes the most sense. And I lean towards him pulling off the sub, but if he gets a knockout in this spot, it wouldn't surprise me against Wikłacz, who's a bit upright in kickboxing and seems pretty fucking hittable. Patchy Mix is a minus 250 favorite. I think it's a deserved tag for his long reign as a Bellator champ. Plus 210 for the side of Wikłacz. I guess not necessarily long reign as a Bellator champ, but had a dominant run when he was in Bellator and only took one pro loss outside of the UFC and was to Juan Archuleta, who was in, peak mode at the time. Over 2.5 rounds is minus 160. I feel like Patchy's going to push a finish pace. So live for the under here. I don't think Wikłacz is ready for this level. This is a proper sophomore appearance. And for the side of Wikłacz, I think this is too much too soon. And KSW guys, I really haven't been impressed by. I mean, we saw Ruchala versus Gomez. We've seen Urslan. The KSW opposition, when they come into the UFC, they haven't blown me away. And I think Patchy Mix is a staple of the true top 15 of the bantamweight division. I know he's not ranked in the UFC yet, but I do believe Patchy Mix will get to a point where he's mixing it back up with the top 15. I think he get wins inside of the top 15. And I don't think it's over for Patchy. At 32, he's still in his prime. Yeah, he had a bad debut, but I think he gets things cooking nicely here. And I think UFC only fans that haven't seen his dominance outside of the UFC, they're going to realize this guy's pretty solid in all areas. And I think Patchy Mix should win this fight pretty clearly. One-sided, Patchy Mix, domination incoming into the finish. Next fight on the card, the ladies are going after it. It's Macy Chiasson versus Yana Santos. I'm going to go with Macy Chiasson. Yana Santos has pretty good Muay Thai, and she's strong inside of the clinch, but I think Chiasson can touch her up from range. I think Chiasson has better grappling. I like Chiasson's size a lot in this fight. She's 5 inches taller, one of the bigger girls in the UFC bantamweight division, but the issue is bantamweight division. Macy Chiasson has had issues, with the scale. If you look, most recent fight was a featherweight fight against Ketlin Vieira. Fight before that, she was on point, but she missed weight back in 2021. And it seems like, being 5'11", that cut to 35 is a challenge. But I'll assume that she makes weight and looks decent doing it. I mean, even her other loss to Aldana, it was a fight that she was winning before getting caught with the wild ass up kick to the liver, and then puts on 2 straight wins, easy against Pani, beats up Mayra Bueno Silva and stops her with the cut stoppage. The elbow was terrifying. And then she loses to Ketlen Vieira, but Ketlen Vieira is very good. I think Macy Chiasson, she'll win against Yana Santos. I really do. Chiasson should outwork her, win the battle of the clinch, win some key striking exchanges. I feel like the physicality is a difference maker. She ends up on top. I think she can win by submission as well. I don't know, man. Yana Santos in the 3rd round against Misha Tate, she got dominated. Chelsea Chandler win. Okay, that's fine. Caral Hosa, she put up a decent fight and lost. The Holly Holm fight clearly lost. Aldana beat her up. And then her win against Ketlen Vieira some time ago was a robbery. I thought that Ketlen Vieira deserved that W at the end. And she's 35, and I get it. It's not like Macy Chiasson's 29, but I don't know, man. Yana Santos just never blows me away. I think Macy Chiasson's better than that. I think her striking from range could be on point, work a long jab, attack the legs a little bit, win the battle of, clinch fighting, get on top. Even if they don't go to the ground, I think Chiasson could win the clinch fight against Yana Santos, who does have a deceptively good clinch game. Macy Chiasson's a tough customer. I still think she's one of the better women at the bantamweight class. And not that Yana Santos isn't. She's top 10, but I think Chiasson can pass this test. I'm going to go with Macy Chiasson on the judges' scorecard. She's a -180 favorite. I agree with the odds being, slightly favored towards her. Yana Santos at +155. I'm saying we're probably going over 2.5. Now, Chiasson by sub is possible. She does have a good ground game. -245 for the over, +203 for the under. I'm not crazy. I wouldn't chase the damn under. I think Chiasson should win, though. I feel like she'll land good shots in close range, good strikes from distance. I think she'll end up getting on top of Yana Santos at some point. I think she'll frustrate Yana Santos with her size advantage. And I think Macy Chiasson by a unanimous decision makes the most sense in this one. And it should be a pretty clear win. So Macy Chiasson to get it done against Yana Santos in this fight. Next fight on the card, we got Daniel Santos versus Ju Sang Yu. Ooh. I'm going with Ju Sang Yu to get the win. I like him a lot as a prospect right now. And Willie Cat is undisciplined. He had a really nice performance last time, beating Ji Yoon Lee. Showed him levels. And you know what? I got to say, I was really impressed with the head movement and boxing from Daniel Santos in that fight. Like, had a good, dip of his head into ripping body shots and then coming up high. And just looked incredibly smooth in boxing range. Also mixed in takedowns really nicely. Daniel Santos' last fight, he looked really good. I really can't give much negative take on Daniel Santos. But what I will say is Ji Yoon Lee is mediocre as fuck. And Ju Sang Yu seems to have a pretty legit striking game. His kickboxing is incredibly precise, and he's naturally very fast twitch. He's got heavy low kicks and a really good feint game that then leads him into nasty straight shots. He's got a really powerful straight right into the left hook. I worry just a tad bit about Daniel Santos' takedown threat in the fight because I could see him getting Yu on the mat. Ju Sang Yu has shown decent get-up ability, but he has been taken down before and he has been controlled a bit. Now, to be fair to him, he's also had fights where he used his grappling and dominated. I think Yu is able to catch Santos with precise shots and technically outstrike him. And I believe in the takedown defense. And if he is taken down, I believe in the get-up game. Though Daniel Santos has a pretty good ground game, I don't think he has spectacular control. Not like he has crazy pins from top position. He does have decent top control, but at what level? And then if you look at his ground skills, I mean, his back takes are okay. He's a shoot-their-box fighter. They all have good jiu-jitsu over there. But I think Ju Sang Yu should be all right, man. He's going to have the reach advantage, which I like, 4 inches in reach, with power in both hands, with good timing on his shots. I think he can outwork Daniel Santos. I lean towards, though, a unanimous decision win. I feel like Santos could eat a big punch. Now, to be fair, though, he was rocked. He was rocked against Castaneda. He was rocked against Chiasson. We could see Ju Sang Yu put him out. I like Ju Sang Yu's power. His last 2 fights, he's shown crazy power, but he does have some decision wins too. It's just you got to ask yourself, does he live up to it? Daniel Santos' head movement is nice and he rolls with shots well. Also, Daniel Santos up at 145. He's a durable guy. Daniel Santos is no easy test. Though I really like Ju Sang Yu's power and his Jekka knockout will have you believing he's KOing everybody. I don't know with this one. I think there is a possibility that Santos wins some striking exchanges. I think there is a possibility that Santos takes Ju Sang Yu down and then Yu works his way up and lands some better shots. I see you getting it done and winning strike combinations and striking well from range and catching Santos and maybe even dropping Santos. But I don't know for sure if he's going to put his lights out. That's the big question mark I have around this fight. But nonetheless, I think Ju Sang Yu is incredibly precise with striking and capable on the ground, enough so to deal with a Daniel Santos in this spot here. And I think as Santos looks to land long combinations in range, because he'll throw multi-shot combinations, I feel like Ju Sang Yu's timing could be an issue where then Santos is getting caught. And he's not as confident as he was against like a Ji Yoon Lee, where he's able to just sit in that pocket and keep his head on the swivel and land big combinations to the body and head and throw big uppercuts and hooks over the top, because he doesn't really have much coming back, you know? Ji Yoon Lee doesn't have great timing. Ju Sang Yu has incredible timing. And I think that's a difference maker. So we could even see a more reserved Willie Cat look to wrestle more than strike in this fight. And then we'll find out everything about Ju Sang Yu's takedown defense. But even if he's taken down, I think the get up game is good enough, especially with Santos being a former bantamweight. I think Ju is going to be all right in grappling entanglements. I don't see him getting bodied for 3 rounds and pinned on the mat. I like the underdog. Ju Sang Yu's plus 112. I think it's a great underdog. I think it's a very live dog bet. I'm actually surprised to see him at dog status. At open, he was plus 130. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're thinking about betting this fight, I'd probably go after it sooner rather than later, because there is going to be a lot of money that I anticipate coming in on Ju Sang Yu throughout the week. Whereas I see a possibility of fight night, even Ju Sang Yu at slight favorite status, or at the very least, potentially even odds. So I don't know how much longer you're going to get the plus money tag on Ju Sang Yu. If you're seeing what I'm seeing, you think he's a precise hitter, you think his ground skills are good enough, and you like what you have seen from the tape in the past, or maybe you're just listening to me and you like what I'm saying, then I'd say go after it sooner rather than later, as opposed to wait until weigh-ins for a matchup like this. Santos minus 132. Also, Santos, he pissed me off when he was at 135. Pulled out of that Davy Grant fight where Davy Grant was my savage dog lock. Now, looking back at it, maybe he would have gave Grant some trouble, but I thought Grant would be able to chop the legs a bit, win some key striking exchanges, and pull a decision out. I think Ju Sang Yu is a problem in the matchup here. Though Santos is showing signs of consistent improvement, I think Ju Sang Yu has got the goods to get it done. Over 2.5 minus 170. So the books are anticipating it to go towards the later stages, even if it's only, you know, a slight favorite status. I lean towards the yes side of that too. I like the knockout against Jekka, but we have to keep it realistic. 4 KOs, 4 decisions. It's not like Ju Sang Yu has knocked out all 9 of his opponents, right? Which I think it's a positive as well for his game, that we've seen him go into a 3rd round before. You know, if you have a guy with only 1st, 2nd round KOs, then you got to worry about what happens when things go a little south and he gets taken down or whatever. But he's been in compromised spots, right? He's been in competitive fights. He fought a PFL veteran here, and he won a unanimous decision against Reynaldo Exon, and he got taken down a bit of that fight, but he had him busted out. He was cracking him with good shots. Like, the stand-up of you looked good, and he was able to fight back up to his feet. So there's net positives from it. And then against lower-level opposition, he's out-grappled people as well. So Ju Sang Yu seems to be well-rounded, and I think he can handle business against Daniel Santos. But I guess really where I'm going with it is respect to Santos's durability and skills. At the very least, I do think he could put up a bit of a fight. So Ju Sang Yu, decision or KO is how I'm feeling right now. But, you know, we'll see what the props look like if you're on the betting side of things. I'm curious. I would love to see him get a violent KO, but Santos's chin seems solid. Never knocked out as a pro. Good recovery against John Castaneda to a comeback KO win. There's net positives there. Let's keep running. Next fight, we got Farid Basharat versus Chris Gutierrez. I like Farid Basharat to win. This is not Javid Basharat, okay? His brother has been a bit of a fraud check. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but his brother has been shown levels by some of these, you know, better UFC fighters. Farid Basharat is still on fire right now. Last fight beat Victor Hugo. Before that, Taylor Lapalus. Before that, Clayton Rodriguez. Before that, Damon Blackshear. Then an Alan Bagasso win on the Damn Contender Series. But respect to a Damon Blackshear UFC debut win, especially seeing Blackshear. I mean, yeah, he hasn't looked great as of late, but still has gotten some W's and had a little streak going. Clayton Rodriguez, he showed him levels on the ground and subbed him, and Clayton's still good. He's a powerful Muay Thai fighter. He's a, you know, strong Brazilian. Taylor Lapalus is awesome. one of my favorite, now not UFC fighters, one of my favorite like unranked bantamweights at the time. And Victor Hugo was, a decent prospect on the come up. And Javid Basharat shows levels, man. All areas, excuse me, Farid Basharat, not Javid. I'm botching the names. I'm gonna have you guys all confused. Farid Basharat is nice, man. Really good movement, precise kicks to the legs, good accuracy on his punches, really nice peppering shots, good jab from the outside, good bounce and flow in and out of range, hard to track down, can stay on the bicycle and move. And I think he's faster than Chris Gutierrez. I think he's a slicker striker than Chris Gutierrez. I think he's a better mover than Chris Gutierrez. And if you watch Chris Gutierrez fights, Chris Gutierrez is known for pretty precise technical stand-up. Like, he's got really nice low kicks. He's got good patience to his game. He stays calm. He's a stance switch hitter, sometimes overly calm. Now, a knock on Chris Gutierrez I will give you guys is recent fights, we've seen him on his back. Chris Gutierrez can be taken down. And though Farid Basharat has really sound striking, I do think him mixing in takedowns is an element of this fight that could be underrated. I could see Farid Basharat taking Chris Gutierrez down. I can see Chris Gutierrez on his back trying to fight up to his feet, getting controlled. Basharat working a little bit of ground and pound, positional dominance, getting to half guard. Maybe then Gutierrez finding his way to the cage and then climbing up the cage, back to striking from range. Farid landing the cleaner shots. I see tactical warfare between the two, and I see Basharat as the better of the bunch. I'm going to say he goes out and wins. Younger guy as well. I don't want to say these two are similar. I think Farid Basharat is a better version of what Chris Gutierrez attempts to be. And I believe that Farid Basharat is on track to become a top 15 bantamweight. He's still young at only 28, but he's definitely the better of the two Basharat brothers. And I really think it's his time. Stance switch hitter as well, which I like a lot. And I think he's going to have a tricky striking game into some wrestling for Chris Gutierrez. And I just don't think Gutierrez can keep up with that. Gutierrez is not going to be able to just dance on him, right? A lot of times Gutierrez got that, strike speed and footwork edge. Not in this one. And honestly, with Castaneda, it was a coin flip decision at the end. I think Farid Basharat primed, ready to go, goes out and handles business here. Basharat, unanimous decision incoming. And I think if you're not on the Basharat train, you should be. Now, of course, betting wise, are you on the train at minus 450? You don't have to be. I don't think, odds are great here. It's very wide towards the Basharat side. Plus 350 on the opposite end for Chris Gutierrez. But you know what? It's understandable. Gutierrez, though he's won 2 fights in a row, it was lackluster decision against Castaneda that could have went either way. Kwang Lee won a round against him, which I think, looking at where Kwang Lee's at now in his UFC career, not a great look. Lost to Song Yadong, that's fine. Song Yadong's a maestro. Win against Elatang Haili, that's okay, but it's Elatang Haili. Lost to Pedro Munoz 2.5 years ago, and that's when he was on the come up, and Chris Gutierrez was looking like he was, attempting a real run, and then Munoz beats him up, and Munoz fell off hard since then. Yeah, I think Farid Basharat should dominate. Over 2.5 minus 270. I anticipate 3 rounds of work. Don't be surprised when Basharat uses an MMA-based game, mixes in some takedowns alongside of the striking. Basharat quicker, cleaner, technically more crisp. Though Gutierrez has some nice leg kicks, I think Basharat can match him in all areas and exceeds the skill set on the ground with, I think, an advantage too in strike speed and strike technicality and also the mentality. An issue for Chris Gutierrez that I have to also mention is he seems to have a bit of confidence issues and he makes mistakes, like against Song Yadong, like rolling for a fucking Inamari roll and shit like that at the end of the fight when he's losing. It's just stupid stuff like that. I really think that Farid Basharat has the mind strength with the physical tools and the skills to go alongside of it to handle a Chris Gutierrez. So Basharat all day in this one. Next fight on the card, we have Edmen Shahbazyan versus André Muniz. I almost flipped a pick on this one after seeing how easy my guy Cam Rouston handled Andrei Petroski. But then I took a step back and I chilled and I said, wait, Edmen Shahbazyan was very technical against Petroski and picked him apart. And André Muniz seems to be falling apart at this point. And he lost to Paul Craig. I'm going to go with Edmen Shahbazyan to win. Though I must mention, André Muniz's grappling skills are a legit scare in the matchup. Muniz is a legit black belt with really good control on the ground, good back takes, actually pretty good takedowns too. André Muniz doesn't have your typical Claudio Puelles shitty takedown. André Muniz can shoot for some takedowns nicely, and he does have solid level changes. So I will give credit where it's due. But the thing is, Edmund Shahbazyan has spent the past several years fucking tooth and nail grinding away at trying to get better at wrestling defense. And his takedown defense as of late has looked really good. Even this loss to Gerald Meerschaert, it was not of Meerschaert's success with takedowns. Simply, it was Edmund Shahbazyan rocking him and then going guns a-blazing, looking for the stoppage, not getting the stoppage, and then gassing and getting choked out. If Edmund Shahbazyan stays technical, I think he can pick apart a Muniz into a stoppage at some point throughout the fight. Now, note this about Edmund Shahbazyan. In his last fight against Petrosky, he did hurt him to the body, and he showed a lot of calm in the matchup. Was very technically sound, picked his shots well. He took his time. He actually forced Petrosky on the back foot and bullied him a bit, which I liked. Muniz is going to shoot. Now, the difference is Petrosky is short compared to a Muniz, and he doesn't have the reach. Muniz has got a 78-inch reach, crazy long arms, and he's nearly the same height as Shahbazyan at 6'1 to 6'2. When they get in there, they're going to look about the same size. And also, Muniz is an awkward southpaw. Muniz's boxing is mediocre, but he still lands a little bit just simply because of the grappling threat and the awkwardness. Where he shines on the feet, he's got good kicks. Like a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, good kicker. The punching is not his bread and butter. Shahbazyan, big boxing advantage. Shahbazyan, footwork advantage. Shahbazyan, technical striking advantage. The element of this fight that we find out on fight night is, can Shahbazyan stop the onslaught of grappling? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Shahbazyan is able to stop Muniz's takedowns. I'm going to say that Shahbazyan, all these years, absolutely tooth and nail, grinding on getting the skills better defensively on the mat is enough. And I think Shahbazyan should put Muniz away. Last fight, Ikram Aliaskarov knocked Muniz out with a light left hook to ground and pound. It was a light left hook that he landed, and Muniz dropped. Muniz doesn't have a great chin. Fight before that, it was a razor-thin split decision against Jun Young Park, where he was mounted against Park in that fight. Fight before that, Paul Craig finished him in a comeback. Fight before that, Brendan Allen choked him out. Then before that, it was a Uriah Hall win. I don't think Muniz is in his prime. I also just don't think Muniz has the best chin. I really think Shahbazyan's technical striking is enough. I really feel like he can find a counter shot down the line with a straight or a check left hook, or even a heavy kick to the body, and Muniz is hurt, and then Shahbazyan catches him with a couple punches. I mean, even a jab. Andrew Muniz years ago was knocked out by Azmat Mirzakhanov on, I forget the promotion actually now, but it was in like 50 seconds. And I know Mirzakhanov's a badass striker and, you know, top 15 light heavyweight in UFC right now, but I use it as an example to say that Muniz's chin has never been good. Muniz has always been chinny. 6 of his 7 losses by knockout, 1 loss by sub. He's lost all of his fights by finish. I really think Shahbazyan can follow suit with that. And I think Edmund Shahbazyan can pick him apart on the feet with substantially better striking and can get a knockout as well, especially against Muniz, whose chin might be gone at this point. And he never had a great chin to begin with. So Edmund Shahbazyan to get it done. 27 years old, longtime UFC vet at this point. I think he beats the jiu-jitsu ace and André Muniz here. Odds for the fight are wide, though. Minus 275. It's just Shahbazyan always with these wide odds. I wish he was a minus 180 favorite. At minus 180, that's more sensible. At open, it was minus 175. I really have to say, I agree with the opening lines. Now it's gotten ugly for Shahbazyan, where he's not necessarily worth this price tag. Plus 235 from Muniz, I see why some would be tempted, because if he gets Shahbazyan down, he could surely take his back, and he could surely choke him out. Over a round and a half, plus 130. They might end up going over a round and a half. Plus 130 is there. Muniz, you look at his game, submission skills are sound, man. He's got 13 wins by first round submission, but I feel like we see Shahbazyan calm. I think he strikes well from distance. I don't think he overextends himself. I don't think Muniz has great comeback ability either. Like, that's what the GM3 fight. GM3 is great at comebacks. Muniz is not really a good comeback fighter. Either he's winning or normally he's not, you know? I'm going to say Shahbazyan goes out there and puts him to bed. So I'm going to go with the Edmund Shahbazyan side. I'm going to believe in the striker over the grappler. I'm going with the youth as well. I'm going Shahbazyan for a knockout. Let's keep running. Next fight. Our featured prelim of the night. It's Ateba Gutierrez versus Aussie Diaz. This right here is the definition of the UFC setting up a showcase fight. We have mini Francis Ngannou versus Ozzy Diaz, who kind of looks like a worse Reyes brother, to be honest with you. I'm going with Ateba Gatier. Now, I want to say something positive about Ozzy Diaz. I picked him against Jordan Santos last time and he won as an underdog. So I don't think Ozzy Diaz is awful. I just think he's taking on an absolute force to be reckoned with in Ateba Gatier. This is a nightmare matchup for him. Ateba Gatier is a terrifying power puncher. He has the death touch. He fights out of the orthodox stance with a tight style, but pressuring style, but not over aggressive. At 23, you'd anticipate somebody a little more wild and raw. He actually has poise to his striking game, picks his shots nicely, attacks with really clean hook combinations and range, and also has a really nasty right uppercut. Ngannou-esque, maybe. I think he's actually crisper than Ngannou was at this time in his fighting career, as far as, the experience goes. At the age, my God, he's only 23. Ateba Gatier's got the makings of a future top contender. I really think he's a legit boxer. Ateba Gatier can box, man. And he's got crazy power. He's got the Muay Thai base. He's got nasty Thai clinch knees. Ozzy Diaz is a sacrificial lamb. Now, Ozzy Diaz has a decent long jab. He's got long arms, 79-inch reach. But oh, wait, Ateba Gatier is longer than him. There's nothing for Ozzy Diaz. He's got good leg kicks. He can box a bit. He's a wide stance striker. Gatier could chop at the legs, force Diaz to close the gap, and then just crush him with big shots. My God, Ateba Gatier by first round KO. I think Ozzy Diaz is getting slept. He got knocked out bad by a Mingyang Zhang elbow, and I think we're going to see Ateba Gatier put him to bed as well. He got knocked out by Joe Pyfer on Contender Series. Ateba Gatier is a different beast, man. At 23 years old, special. Special. Keep your eye on Ateba Gatier. They're giving him the featured prelim of a massive card for a reason, because they are looking to build the stock of a potential future contender and star. And I think violence is upon us. Gatier knockout. Odds for the fight, minus 950. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Plus 650 for Ozzy Diaz. Gatier is also working all elements of his game. I know at one point he was working with Frank Mir. I think the ground skills are developing. Precision on his shots is there. He's calm. He's gotten taken down before and worked his way up, and it's not like Ozzy Diaz is a great wrestler. Under a round and a half is minus 275. I anticipate yes on the under a round and a half. I'm going to Ateba Gatier, first round KO per usual. His power is otherworldly, and he has so many advantages. Ozzy Diaz is going to be too slow, and with power and speed advantages for Gatier, Ozzy Diaz is a sitting duck to a violent knockout. Ateba Gatier, first round KO. This should be a lock of the year type situation here. This is one-way traffic all the way through and through. It would be one of the bigger upsets of all time if Ozzy Diaz won this fight. He's not going to. Ateba Gatier is going to absolutely destroy him in one round. Gatier all day. Violent knockout in a future contender. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you guys hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. We got Joe Pyfer versus Abus Magomedov. I'm picking Joe Pyfer. I think he can pass the Abus Magomedov test. Joe Pyfer's a power hitter. You show it against Kelvin Gastelum, dropping him multiple times. In the first round, Joe Pyfer is incredibly dangerous. He has really good timing on his punches and really has a ton of power that he carries in that right hand, and he loves that looping overhand right. At times, I will say he gets a little overzealous with the overhand right, but if it fucking lands, he ain't standing up to it. Another element of Joe Pyfer that we have to talk about, he's well-rounded. Fast hands, clean power, good movement, solid on the ground, legit jiu-jitsu, good wrestling. He manages range pretty well. And I get it. The third round against Gastelum, people say, oh, well, he slowed down. He just realized he wasn't getting him out of there. And, he still was able to pick his shots and land some good ones against Gastelum. And Gastelum can still box like a nightmare out of southpaw. So, I think Gastelum still demands some respect. And, Pyfer knocking him down multiple times like that, nothing but impressive. Joe Pyfer is a knockout puncher for sure. And just because he didn't put away Gastelum doesn't mean he's not going to knock out some other guys, okay? And Abus Magomedov, I think, is going to be a knockout victim to Joe Pyfer. Magomedov has a good sniper kickboxing style. He has decent pop in his punches as well. Solid straight shot combinations. He's got a nice teep to the body, and his kicks overall are pretty sharp. And he moves fairly well, to be honest with you. Now, the issue is short-lived because he has a lot of speed early in fights, but really does slow down. Doesn't have a good gas tank. I'd say he's a good wrestler, but he's not a great wrestler. He's got takedown threats, but I think Joe Pyfer could stand up to the wrestling of Abus Magomedov. We saw Magomedov badly rocked by Bruno Ferreira and then the comeback win by submission using the wrestling. If Pyfer hits him like that, Magomedov's not standing up. And I don't see Magomedov panic wrestling Pyfer and being successful at it, man. I don't think so. I think Joe Pyfer is going to find the knockout punch. Maybe it's not in the first round, but within the first two, I think a knockout's really live here. Abus Magomedov, he's sharp from distance, but he's not going to be able to keep Pyfer off of him for 3 rounds. It's not going to happen. Pyfer's going to close that gap. Pyfer's going to land hard. And I think Pyfer's going to put Magomedov to sleep, man. When you look at Abus Magomedov's last fight against Michel Pereira, although he had decent moments throughout the fight, both guys look really flat in round 3. And that win against Michel Pereira hasn't aged well. Michel Pereira looked goddamn awful, getting knocked out violently in the first round by Kyle Dawkins. And to be honest, he looked half asleep. And then even against Magomedov, he looked very awkward and a little bit low output and kind of seemed scared to commit. And Magomedov went out and won a decision. If he would have knocked out Michel Pereira, or Pereira showing up like that, then maybe we're having a different conversation. But of what I've seen from Abus is I see slickness, I see good sniper kickboxing, and I see solid wrestling. But I see a guy with a questionable gas tank. I don't know about a questionable chin, but he was knocked out by Lewis Taylor really quick with a big shot. And I know Joe Pyfer's got legit pop, and I see him landing that overhand shot against Magomedov, especially more of the upright sniper style that Magomedov fights with. As you get more into a punching range, the wider shots tend to land on guys like that. And I think Magomedov in the pocket gets cracked in this one. So I'm going Joe Pyfer, and I'm going to say Joe Pyfer gets the KO. And in 3-round fights, that's absolutely his bread and butter. I mean, even in the fight against Jack Hermanson, if it's a 3-rounder, he wins. Marc-Andre Barriault, violent knockout, big knockdowns against Kelvin Gastelum, showed grappling against Abdul Razak Alisson, destroyed Gerald Mearshart. Joe Pyfer is putting it all together, man. And then on the side of Abus Magomedov, if you just want to, glance over the last couple, the Michel Pereira fight, that was kind of a dud. Big comeback against Bruno Ferreira, but I think it's a red flag that he was badly rocked. Beat Warley Alves by a fairly dominant decision, but Warley Alves is a former fucking welterweight, man. His claim to fame is he choked out Colby Covington years ago, And then losses to Kyle Bahayo and Sean Strickland by knockout. I think Pyfer's adding to the knockout losses for Abus, and I'm going Pyfer violently. I think he's going to look good in this fight, and I really think he's going to start living up to it. He's still young, too, 29. He's not even 30 yet, man. Joe Pyfer is coming together. Minus 235 for Joe Pyfer, plus 200 for Abus Magomedov. Let's see what the overs are. Wow, they do an over 1.5. And under 2.5 seems probable. Under 1.5, possible at plus 135. I don't necessarily love the over-unders. I think Joe Pyfer's a good pick, potentially a 2-leg parlay piece, or if you want to add him to a long shot. Another thing you can do with Joe Pyfer is touch that knockout prop and say, fuck it, I believe he's going to get the KO. Maybe you want to play it safe, go inside distance, because there is an argument that he could club and sub him, though Pyfer's first instinct is to knock people the fuck out. And with a guy like Pyfer, whose first instinct is to knock people the fuck out, I strongly favor him knocking Abus Magomedov the fuck out in this fight. So Joe Pyfer, violent win in a fight that I'm excited as hell to see. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Josh Emmett versus Youssef Zalal. Ooh, I'm picking Youssef Zalal, but I still have positive things to say about Josh Emmett. I'll first give Josh Emmett some credit. The heavy-handed featherweight savage. There's legit death touch power with Josh Emmett. And if he lands clean, Youssef Zalal could get dropped. Now, Youssef Zalal seems to be in incredible physical condition, trains at elevation, really light on his feet, really quick. I could see him getting caught and then recovering. But you have to respect Josh Emmett's knockout ability. And when you look at his level of opposition, losses to Lerone Murphy, who's the number 1 contender probably, Ilia Topuria, champion, and Yair Rodriguez, top contender and, interim champ at the time. And, Ilia Topuria, 2-weight champ, featherweight champ, knocked out Volk, and then went on to win the damn lightweight title against Oliveira. And Josh Emmett went the distance against him. So, got to give him some respect for surviving big shots. Bryce Mitchell KO was sick, but it's Bryce Mitchell. Youssef Zalal in his last fight, he put on a really good striking clinic against Calvin Kattar. He's another one. They'll knock his 3rd round, but he barely got hit. Like, Calvin Kattar was throwing shots and pressing, but he really was missing with everything. Youssef Zalal has a very light on his feet style. One of the quickest guys, maybe the quickest guy in the featherweight the division from distance, man. He's, Also really sound on the floor, so it's not like Zalal's a one-dimensional striker only. If Emmett looks to push a wrestling pace, Zalal's got really good submission skills. I mean, upon his UFC return, choked out Billy Q, choked out Jerno Aarons, and choked out Jack Shore, and then into a dominant decision against Calvin Kattar last time out. The lateral movement of Yusuf Zalal is something to behold, and especially in the big octagon, I like that more. He's got a really good jab, and that's a factor in this fight. I see him jabbing and moving on Josh Emmett a lot. Peppers with good straight punches, but you could say that the one aspect of Yusuf Zalal that is a weakness is he hasn't really shown much punching power at a high level. But crisp technique, hard to hit, moves really well. These are positives that give me the side of a Zalal pick over a Josh Emmett. Also, a fighter that fights comfortably out of both stances with a good feint game. And you also have to write down nice left knee to the head. So, watch out for Josh Emmett getting caught with a big knee up the center up high. Definitely a possibility that Zalal in range catches him with something like that. Could cut Emmett. I don't know if he's knocking Emmett out, though, man. Emmett got that fucking blockhead, and he's short, stocky, and jacked. Those guys normally have really good chins, but Josh Emmett's a real knockout artist, and he's still got strong wrestling, 5-round cardio, and it's a 3-round fight. And his boxing is really dangerous. He's got a nasty left hook, big power bomb over the top. It's just with just boxing, you're chasing Zalal around, and you're also chasing him around the big octagon. If it was at the apex, I could push towards an argument that maybe he gets Zalal trapped against the cage and catches him and could end up pulling off an upset knockout. But with a lot of room to work for Yusuf Zalal, I think he takes advantage of the space. And I think Yusuf Zalal pitches a pretty clear decision win in this one. Maybe Emmett takes the 3rd round and takes down Zalal late or lands a couple of shots. But Yusuf Zalal, especially in those first 2, he's just too hard to hit, man. Too clean, too precise, too good from range, too tactical. Yusuf Zalal by unanimous decision is my prediction in this one. Now, he's a really big favorite. Isn't that wild to see Josh Emmett look this ugly on the dog side? Plus 355 for Josh Emmett. Disgustingly wide. Minus 455 for Zalal. I'm not saying Josh Emmett is washed. I don't think Josh Emmett is washed. I just think Yusuf Zalal is a really difficult stylistic clash for him. And I see Yusuf Zalal's precision and striking from range is a big factor. And I think Emmett is going to be the bull to Zalal, the matador. And I think it's unlikely that the bull gets a one-shot KO. Minus 250 for the over 2.5. I do favor this fight going long. Though Zalal is a submission game, not crazy about picking him by sub over Josh Emmett. I think Yusuf Zalal works the striking well, evades the big shots, defends the takedowns, and takes home the biggest win of his life against the former interim title challenger in Josh Emmett. And Yusuf Zalal, come Monday, is going to become a legit contender now in the featherweight division. And I expect nothing but big things forthcoming from Yusuf Zalal. And I look forward to some other matchups, man. He has a really tricky style. It's a weird comparison, but it's almost like the Floyd Mayweather-esque of MMA, right? Really hard to punch in the face. He might not knock you out. He'll tap you up with shots and move all night. And it's frustrating for opponents. I can see Josh Emmett frustrated and then overthrowing power shots, then getting caught with precise counters and more movement from Zalal. That's another aspect of Zalal that I have to say I like. He sticks to a game plan. And I'm assuming he comes in with a pretty strong game plan and picks apart a Josh Emmett. So unanimous decision, Yusuf Zalal. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. We have our featured fight of the night. Light heavyweight savagery between former champ Yuri Procházka and former title challenger and the man that gave Alex Pereira a real run for his money in Khalil Rountree. Pick for this fight. It's so hard for me to make a pick here. I'm still tossing and turning, man. Give me a second. Let me channel my calm. Khalil Rountree. Khalil Rountree decision, potentially. If Khalil Rountree can take Yuri Procházka's punches, he's going to land some. If he eats them, which I believe he can, I think Khalil could technically outstrike him. Khalil Rountree is a maestro of Muay Thai. Khalil Rountree has probably the best pure Muay Thai in the UFC light heavyweight division. It's very by-the-book Muay Thai. Nasty calf kicks, nasty low kicks, power bombs over the top, a very tight power stance. That power in his hook, that right hook specifically, is earth-shattering. Yuri Procházka has very good head movement and rhythm. very awkward flow to his game, lands nice straight shots. He like runs on a treadmill throwing punches, and you can see that in his game. He can run forward and land shots. It's just I see the way Khalil fights under the tight guard, and I think to myself, counter shots are going to be available. Yes, Procházka moves his head well, but I think Khalil Rountree can be calm and find the big shots. I think it's a competitive fight. I think both guys can land big. I think Procházka can push a pace. And then Khalil is going to be the one that needs to land a big punch that kind of forces Procházka to respect his onslaught. Procházka can be a bit of a relentless force, which is why I feel torn between the pick. Because if Procházka is able to land some big punches, I can see him keep on keeping on and putting a pace on Khalil and end up hurting him. And then maybe Khalil ends up wilting to the big shots. But then again, on the flip side, Khalil Rountree has a nasty point fighting game. He can rip big kicks to the body, big punches up high, stay moving, but not like he's running away. He's not like a Yusuf Zalal mover, but stay under the Muay Thai stance and force a more technical fight, whereas Procházka is going to thrive in more of an unorthodox matchup. It's a tricky one, man. Khalil Rountree put on the performance of a lifetime against Alex Pereira. And then against Jamal Hill, he won a unanimous decision. And I know he's kind of getting knocked for that, but he still dominated the fight. He still dropped Jamal Hill in the matchup. And I get it, Yuri Procházka knocked Jamal out. But, you know, if we're just using MMA math, it's like, okay, well, Khalil gave Pereira a way better fight than Procházka ever did. And then, okay, yeah, Procházka knocked out Jamal Hill, but both of them dominated Jamal Hill. Yeah, it's a wild-ass fight. I think that Khalil's technicality comes through. I see Khalil landing some decent shots to the legs. I see him landing some decent kicks to the body. I see him landing some decent punches up high. I could see Procházka landing some uppercuts in close range. Awkward as he dips and rolls, landing uppercuts, and then like to a straight shot that catches Khalil Rountree. But I don't know about Rountree overextending himself and getting put to bed either. That's another element of the fight, is Khalil Rountree being such a technician doesn't make a lot of flaws, man. Make a lot of mistakes, I should say. He doesn't have a lot of striking flaws. Yeah, man, this is a wild-ass fight. I think it could end up going either way, but I'm kind of leaning towards Khalil winning a hard-fought decision. I think we could end up seeing a technical fight. I even could see a bit of clinch work from both, and then Rountree landed some decent body knees in close range and using his superior physicality. I'm going to go with Khalil Rountree to beat Yuri Procházka. It's going to be a freaking nail biter. I think both guys are going to have big moments in the fight, but I think 29-28. I feel like Rountree could get it on the cards, and I could see Rountree clubbing Yuri Procházka with a right hook. I could see him landing like maybe a right hook that comes over and down a little bit, almost like a lead overhand, and connecting flush on Procházka's chin and potentially shutting him off, man. Khalil Rountree's power is definitely something to behold. Not that Procházka's isn't. He has power too, but, you know, at times it's more the multi-shots and then the chaotic attacks, the spin elbows, the nasty elbows in range, the unorthodox shit. I'm going to go towards the technicality. You got Procházka in Japan. He was doing, you know, true kung fu a few camps ago. And then you got Khalil Rountree with the true Muay Thai style. I look forward to the clash of martial arts in this one. And I'm going to pick towards the side of Khalil Rountree to get it done by a decision in a hell of a fight. Plus 155. I got the underdog in Rountree. Minus 180 Procházka. Fuck the odds in this one. It's a 50-50. It's a 50-50. The truth of it is, for me, it's minus 110 on both sides. It could really come down to who lands harder and more often. And if you land hard uppercut for Procházka and he rocks Khalil, that could change the fight. Khalil could be gun shy. Procházka could get some volume going and maybe ends up taking it. But then if Khalil lands big, you know, forces Procházka to retreat a bit and then turns it into more of a technical fight, I could see him picking Procházka apart. Yeah, really good matchup between the two. Over 1.5 minus 140, I'm going to say yes. I do think Rountree is live to get it on the judges' scorecards. Rountree to win by a decision here is up at plus 450. It's possible. Not saying go out and bet it. The spread side here, Procházka makes it close. 3.5 minus 280. I'm curious what the other spread is going to be. The flip side of that, the Khalil making it close side. I'd assume something similar. I could see 3 rounds of work. And I get it, though. People will lean towards Procházka knocking Khalil out if they're picking him to win. I mean, a lot of Tapology is saying him by knockout, but I could see the skills of both guys working in this fight in more of a 3 round technical warfare as opposed to just like a violent gunslinging brawl. The reason Procházka was so successful against Jamal Hill is because Jamal doesn't have the technical elements of calm to his game, and why Khalil shut Jamal Hill down with his technicality. Khalil definitely can be a guy that fights behind a technical guard more so and attacks in more of a calm manner, which I do think could be a recipe for success against Procházka. Bad head kick KO against Pereira. I could see the technicality of Khalil even leading him into a knockout. So I'm going to go towards the underdog. I'm going to go Khalil Rountree to pull off the upset. Of course, a knockout is live, but I'm kind of feeling Khalil on a decision, though. A big overhand or a high kick KO are also reasonable takes for this one. I'm going to pick the Khalil Rountree side, guys. I'm going to go with him. I'm going dog on Khalil. I can feel it in this one. Next fight, let's go to the co-main event. We got Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen for the bantamweight belt. Sandhagen finally getting the big chance. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I think Sandhagen puts up a decent effort. I think he lands some good shots. I think he cuts Merab. And there's hope that, Sandhagen could pull off a massive upset. But I do think that Merab's pressure and wrestling is going to be the key difference maker. I'm going to pick Merab. I'm going to pick Merab by decision. I think that Merab lands key takedowns. I think he gets on top of Sandhagen. I think Sandhagen does fight well back up to his feet, but I think Merab can keep him pinned up against the cage and then time more takedowns and chain wrestle up Corey Sandhagen a bit. I think if Corey can stay on the bicycle and move, he can definitely land shots from distance on Merab. Good teeps up the center, maybe good elbows in close range. But then I can see Merab walking through all of that and then taking Sandhagen down. That's, I guess, where my issue lies. Is though I think Sandhagen can have good striking moments, I don't know about him putting Merab to bed. And I get it. You can look at Marlon Moraes rocking Merab, even Henry Cejudo catching him and say, oh, he could be knocked out. The guy's recovery is crazy. He's in insane shape, and guys that are in insane shape are hard to stop, man. And his wrestling game is so solid, and his chain wrestling attack is unreal, man. I think that Merab is going to press Corey Sandhagen a lot. I think Merab gets caught with some shots in this fight. I think Sandhagen lands some good straights. I think Sandhagen works a nice long jab. I think Sandhagen lands some good kicks to the legs. I think potentially attacks with some good teeps up the center to the body. But then I think Merab is eventually going to find his way inside, take Sandhagen down. And as Merab lands takedowns, what I'm going to anticipate is as the fight wears on, and even if we're back to striking, because of Merab's takedown threat and Sandhagen recognize just how strong Merab is, I see Merab having a bit more success in the striking as well. I think Merab does more over the 5 rounds. Merab with some flurrying punches to close the gap into takedowns against the cage. I think he'll get Sandhagen down. I think he'll flatten him out a bit. I do think Sandhagen works up to his feet a few times. I do think Sandhagen can escape the clinch a few times, and I think Sandhagen can land some strikes from long distance. Maybe catch Merab with a nice straight shot. Maybe hit him with a body shot that hurts him, a little teep to the body. Maybe cuts him with an elbow or a knee. But I just think Merab is too relentless with the chain wrestling onslaught, the confidence in his durability. And the truth is, Merab can box a bit. He's got a boxing background. He was an amateur boxer, too. They called him the Tornado, and you can see why. And he still brings that here. But with the takedown threat, I think he's going to land shots on Sandhagen as well. And I think he's going to frustrate him. I think Sandhagen's going to be annoyed at just how fucking strong Merab is. Sandhagen has some of the slickest striking rhythm we've ever seen in the bantamweight division, but Merab is just the definition of relentless. And I have to go towards the relentless pressure wrestling and the current champion in Merab to defend that belt. I'm going to pick him to get it done against Corey Sandhagen. Though I think Corey can win a round, though I think Corey can have some moments, and I think Corey can put a good account for himself out there in a hard fight, ultimately he loses. Odds for the fight, Merab is minus 355 as a massive favorite in this spot. Corey Sandhagen sitting at plus 290 as a pretty big underdog. Over 4.5 is expected at minus 350. I feel like the jiu-jitsu of Sandhagen's really good, where I see him surviving. I don't see him melting like the side of Sean O'Malley did. So I lean towards Merab to win by decision a lot. Dvalishvili to win by decision. What are the odds? Nothing worth playing. Minus 200, minus 170. So you can't get shit on it. My God. I thought it would be something better, man. Minus 115 at least. Jesus. We can't get no love on this Merab decision line. I do think he lands a good amount of takedowns. I'm seeing like 49, 46 across the board, maybe even a 50, 45. I just feel like for me, I think Sandhagen can win a round. I think Sandhagen can have a couple moments. I just think Merab's pace is too much for a 5-rounder. Like maybe Sandhagen wins the first or second, has a moment, lands a big knee, cuts Merab, and like, puts the confidence up, and he's like, holy shit. And then the commentators, he's in the fight, and everybody watching, we're going to be biting our nails. But then Merab just keeps on keeping on, keeps on keeping on, takes the later rounds, 3, 4, 5. And I think Merab Dvalishvili should secure another title defense against Sandhagen. But I hope to see a storybook type of fight. I don't want it to be just a complete shutout where Merab just takes Sandhagen down and dominates. And just the whole fight is essentially Merab taking him down, beating him up, and then potentially breaking him. I would prefer to see Sandhagen having a couple of moments, because this is finally his big chance in the title fight. He's been trained his whole life for this shit. I'd hope that at the very least he can cut Merab. He can catch him with a shot, maybe even buckles him a bit, and has some confidence throughout the fight, so there's some positive takeaways. And I'm going to anticipate that he does. He's got a big height advantage, 5'6" to 5'11", but that doesn't really matter if you're on your back. And with Merab's relentlessness, he's just too much to be stopped right now. I can't pick against Merab at this point. I have in the past, and it's burnt me. I've doubted Merab on multiple occasions, too many occasions, and I've had faith in the opposite side. I can't do that here. Now, you could say, maybe I am the Merab curse. Maybe because I picked Merab, Sandhagen will get a doctor stoppage, or Sandhagen pulls off a crazy, sick KO win and becomes the new champ. But I just don't see it, man. Corey Sandhagen's wrestling game was exploited by Umar. Merab, obviously a beast of a wrestler, like Umar, better than Umar even. Merab's too relentless. The 5-round cardio is a problem. Eventually, he's going to get Sandhagen down, and then eventually it's going to also lead to him having success on the feet. And I think Merab Dvalishvili, the mauler, mauls Corey Sandhagen in this one and takes home a title defense. I'm going with Merab Dvalishvili and still champion. Next fight, main event of the evening. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you guys hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. It's Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2. I'm picking the same side I did last time. I called it before the fight was a week out. I called it as soon as it was announced. I said Ankalaev's the one. And I'm picking it again here. I'm picking Magomed Ankalaev, guys. I think he's going to win. Magomed Ankalaev is good. He's too good. Ankalaev has pro-level boxing. That's something that's underappreciated in Magomed Ankalaev, is his professional level boxing skills as well as his fight IQ. He's defensively sound. He has good punch combinations. He's got a nice right hook over the top, a good solid straight left. He honestly is kind of a perfect striker in some senses, especially that he closed that hole of the leg kick defense that was exploited years ago against Jan Blachowicz. Last fight against Pereira, he was stopping those low kicks. Ankalaev has a good patient pressure style, forcing Pereira onto the back foot, making Pereira uncomfortable, forcing Pereira to overcommit and be overly reactive. Ankalaev will land key punch combinations in close range. Ankalaev, when need be, can press Pereira up against the cage and control. He doesn't need to wrestle in this fight. He can win the striking like he did last time. He can fail every takedown. He can press him up against the cage, have some moments, force Pereira back, win some of the boxing from distance. He's the younger man. He's the faster boxer. He's just better than Pereira at this point. It comes down to, does Pereira go the full 5? Can Ankalaev put him away this time? Can the Ankalaev camp look at what they learned from beating Pereira last time, where he had Pereira hurt a little bit, and can he finish the job? I feel like Ankalaev can finish the job this time. I think Ankalaev's going to KO Pereira this time. Yes, Alex Pereira is terrifying. He's got the nastiest left hook in the game. His leg kicks are of death, okay? His knockout shots are crazy. He's got true power in both hands. With the upright kickboxing style, he can let punches fly like very few. Defensively, though, he isn't the most sound, and that's why you saw him boxed up last time and outstruck by Magomed Ankalaev, because his weakness of defense showed itself, whereas Magomed Ankalaev, very effective with an accurate offense, but also has a high-caliber rate of defending strikes. Ankalaev is not hittable. Pereira is more hittable than him. And the reason Pereira was hesitant last time is because Ankalaev was hurting him when he was getting to the target. And I think now we have a Pereira that feels he has something to prove. In having something to prove could be the worst case scenario where a Pereira overextends and then ends up getting his light shut off by Magomed Ankalaev. I think in the rematch, Magomed Ankalaev is going to put Pereira away this time. I think Ankalaev is going to put together some nice boxing combinations. I think it's going to look similar. I do think Pereira can land some big shots, and I think Pereira could have a little more success because he'll be more active this time. But I still think that Magomed Ankalaev rolls with the shots well, comes back with better counters, shows the boxing edge that he has, and the overall MMA advantage that he has. And I think this time, he's going to stop Alex Pereira. I see him catching Pereira. I see him putting Pereira's lights out this time. Yeah, man, a shot, maybe like a right hook over the top into a straight left, into a flurry against the cage, and Pereira's out on his feet and then gets dropped and stopped with ground and pound. I think Magomed Ankalaev can do it, man. Precise hitter. I get it. The Poatan hype. I get it. The fans are hoping that Pereira had an off night. And I don't think that it was a Pereira off night. I think it was that Ankalaev is that good. Ankalaev can make Pereira look average. Nobody else made him look like that in the light heavyweight division. Maybe you could say Jan Blachowicz, but still, nobody really. Magomed Ankalaev, to me, he's just a different animal. His boxing is second to none. He's got really good head movement with slick rhythm. His combination punching is some of the best. He could be a pro boxer, I'm telling you. Magomed Ankalaev is so sound in that area, whereas Pereira, yes, he was a nasty pro kickboxer, but there's vulnerabilities in his defensive flaws. And I see Magomed Ankalaev exploiting them again, forcing Pereira to shell up at times, but for Pereira, I think, will be frustrated and will look for his big punch to land and will try and connect something big. In doing so, I think there's a higher probability of Ankalaev knocking him out this time. And that's why I'm going to predict that Magomed Ankalaev puts Pereira away. Could it be 5 rounds and a decision again? Absolutely. But something whispers to me we're going to see a more active Pereira, a more aggressive Pereira, and a Pereira in doing so, getting hit more often. And I don't think the chin holds up to the precise power that Ankalaev has. Minus 260 for Magomed Ankalaev. I'm going and still. Plus 220 for Alex Pereira. I like the Magomed side. I like the Magomed side. He can see everything Pereira is doing. Magomed has very good eyes. That's another element of his game that you guys have to rate. He's got nice reflexes. He sees it all. I'm telling you guys, Magomed Ankalaev is the special one. And I think he'll end up catching Pereira with something big. I'm going to lean towards the knockout, though it could definitely go all 5 again. Plus 250 range for the KO. Ankalaev by decision, plus 120. Anything else on the prop side calling my name? What round does he get it done in? I don't know, 3rd, 4th? Maybe a 3rd, 4th round. What's Ankalaev wins in rounds 3 or 4? Do we have that up yet? Is that available to the public yet? Let's see. Ankalaev wins in rounds 3 or 4, plus 850. I could see a round 3 or 4 KO for Magomed Ankalaev. Not telling you to go out and bet it, but the truth is, I really view Ankalaev's style as a technical kryptonite to Alex Pereira. Big one-shot power with incredible confidence versus precision striking with professional level boxing, a southpaw stance, and incredibly good reflexes. Add into it too, younger man in Magomed Ankalaev can still be showing signs of improvement. At 38, I don't believe so with Pereira. I think Pereira hit his peak, and I think he had an amazing UFC run. I think there could still be massive fights, maybe a heavyweight move. Maybe they just give him a heavyweight title fight. I don't think anybody would complain. But ultimately, at light heavyweight, against the beast of a fighter in Magomed Ankalaev, the fight IQ, the defensive awareness, and the offensive awareness and precision are the key difference makers. Ankalaev, too technically sound. He will catch Pereira with big shots, specifically that right hook over the top. I see landing clean on Alex Pereira. I see then the straight left. I see peppering shots. I see striking from range. Both guys mixing up leg kicks. I see Ankalaev keeping the head on a swivel, forcing Alex Pereira to miss, and then forcing him to pay. And an over-aggressive Pereira, which he wasn't last time, gets knocked out. Magomed Ankalaev and still champ is my prediction for the UFC 320 main event. Those are my picks for the full card. I hope you guys enjoyed. I definitely want to hear from the people in the comments. What are you guys thinking with the main event? And still, Magomed Ankalaev? Or are you going and once again, Alex Pereira? I want to hear from the folks. Now, you got any underdog calls that you like? You like Ju saying you? You like Khalil Rountree? You like a different one in the mix? Do you think Ateba might be the next Francis Ngannou or better? I think it's a possibility. I want to hear from you guys. So let me know in the comments what you thought of the video and the predictions. If you got nothing to say in the comments, please enjoy the content. W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you all for watching. I love you, savages. W to the community. Smash the likes on your way out. If you're new, subscribe it up. Turn the post notifications on too, because you don't want to miss a video or live stream. I got content every single day of the week covering the best sport on the damn planet, the beautiful fight game. Love you guys. And shit, if you know somebody that wants some picks, they want some breakdowns, they want some good entertainment, make sure you share the video as well. I'll see you all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.